Oh, hi team, how are you?
Oh, you know. You good?
Yeah, happy to. You got anything more to say than that? Or?
No, I mean, what do you think about the mega ministry, MCERT or McCurt or however you say it?
Look, I said in May we have too many ministries. This merger is a step in the right direction towards a smaller, more efficient government. But the ACT Party says we're going to have to go a lot further in this direction to have a government that's truly affordable and responsive for New Zealanders.
What other ministries do you want to merge?
Well, you could make a list if you like, but I just make the point. Ireland has 16. We are a country of the same population. We could do it with a lot less complicated government. It'd cost less and it'd be more responsive to people's needs.
Is it the coalition agreement and the way that the parties work and parties wanting more portfolios to blame for that too?
Well, that certainly sits at the table as it is set today. Having been in government, I believe it's an urgent need that we reset it, and that's what we intend to campaign on next year, to set the table with fewer places in the future.
To what extent did Cabinet discuss, the further merging of potential ministries?
Well, if there's any Cabinet discussion, I'm going to stay mum on that because I know the rules. I try and keep things secret. But it's something that I believe will have more and more active consideration.
What's the right amount of ministries, do you think?
Well, look, Ireland does it with 16. I mean, I've said, look, we should have at most 30. That's twice as many as Ireland. You could have 20 cabinet ministers. That way you can have no more than 2 ministries per minister and only 1 minister per ministry. Then you get some alignment and some focus on what you're actually trying to do.
How much smaller could the new mega ministry be than the existing ministries put together, do you think?
Well, the projection is that it's actually going to save quite a lot more money each year in the future than it costs to do the initial merger, and so that I see as a positive thing.
How much is it supposed to save?
Look, it's not my direct area, so I'm not going to try and quote off the top of my head, but I think it's something like $30 million a year.
How concerning is the HYEFU results out? I mean, we've got the surplus pushed out to 2030.
Yeah, look, it's deeply concerning. The ACT Party has long said that we need to save money. We've played an honourable role as part of this government in driving the savings, and it seems the need to do that has intensified today.
How badly do we need superannuation reform?
Well, we clearly need to look at all the things the government is saving money on and work out how we're going to cut our cloth, because ultimately there's either going to be more taxes, including on your house, or we're going to have a smaller and more efficient government. As people live longer and have fewer children, there are more superannuitants, fewer taxpayers paying tax to support super. There is an obvious change that just about every country we compare ourselves with is making, and that is now inevitable in New Zealand. The question is, are we going to make that change slowly and gradually in our own time, or have it foisted on us by some financial crisis in the future?
Does the Bondi shooting give the ACT Party any food for thought on the gun reforms that you proposing?
I just find that question incredible. What you're really saying is that you think we're wrong. A couple of things about that. Number
That's
one,
not what I was asking.
it's exactly what you're saying.
No, I'm just asking
I heard.
if it's your position at all.
No, that's not the
Given
phrasing.
it
That's
was
not the
illegal.
phrase. That's not the phrasing you used. Let me answer
Well,
that.
can I ask again?
Okay, go for it.
Has the Bondi shooting changed the party's position on gun
Well, no, it
reform?
hasn't, because not all the facts are known. So who would change their position before they knew any of the facts? Number one question. Number two, so far as we do know anything, a guy that shouldn't have had a licence, who was on a terror watch list, was given a licence. That's a failure of administration, so you wouldn't change your policy on that. Number three, Australia was long held out to be the country that had the best gun laws in the world. So, before you ask us, have we had food for thought, and ask us to do some sort of mea culpa, you might want to get some of the facts right about what's happened in a really tragic situation. Any other questions? Yeah, sure.
What about shorter licensing periods, or increased vetting, that sort of thing?
Well, that would be for Australia, and I'm not going to get into their politics.
You were seeing the HYEFU numbers. I mean, do you think more fiscal restraint is required, and is it urgent?
It's critical that we hold the line, and it's clear that what the ACT Party's been saying, we need to save money. We've played an honourable role in saving money in this country, and we continue to do that through this budget process. But it seems clear that in the long term, bigger adjustments are required. There is more demand for the type of politics that ACT has been advocating, because the alternative is more taxes and eventually a tax on your house.
Would you be looking for something like something that actually cuts into entitlement levels, what people are allowed to get?
Well, I mean, I think inevitably people are going to look at the situation with superannuation. They're going to say, look, people are living longer, having fewer children, there's fewer taxpayers, there's more people remaining on super, but people are also healthier and able to work longer. So just about every country we like to compare ourselves with is making changes in response to those numerical facts. The dilemma for New Zealand is, do we make the change slowly and deliberately on our own terms, or have it foisted on us by some future financial crisis? That's something where ACT has always been principled, not always popular, but I think it's becoming clearer and clearer with each year.
Do you see working for families as an area where there might be some fat to trim?
Yeah, it's devilishly complicated because there's so many different configurations of how many children, how many income earners, how much income. But I've always questioned whether it's not possible to tax and transfer less money and maintain reasonable abatement rates so you don't have poor incentives. I don't think anyone's really done the work on that for actually a decade now, and I think it's definitely an area we should be looking at.
The Finance Minister specifically defended working for families, and they actually said that's what, the taxpayers union want to cut working for families for zero, and she doesn't think that she visits
Yeah,
too much
but look,
human misery.
I'm not here.
What do you make of
I'm
that?
not here to debate the taxpayers union. I feel I'm caught in the middle of that one. What I would say is, look, working for families as a concept, sure, but has the fine tuning been done to make it really work for everybody over the last decade? It's sort of been on autopilot, and you have people who lose a lot of money when they work more. That's bad because it discourages people from working, and you also have a lot of transfers to people who maybe would prefer to pay less tax in the first place. So I think it's an open discussion.
Sorry, you've probably been asked this already, but is a surplus by 2030 good enough?
Look, it's the numbers that we have. The ACT Party's played an honourable role in driving savings in this government, and clearly the demand for that drive has just increased today. Can I also just say that the question that should have been asked about Bondi is, what are we doing about anti-Semitism? It's easy to say, oh, well, maybe we just give people food for thought on their gun laws. The reality is that anti-Semitism has been tolerated, allowed, and shamefully by some encouraged for far too long. That's why people are dead, and that is what we need to address, and I'm looking forward to addressing it in the House.
We're entitled to ask you questions about laws in New Zealand.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're not entitled, just try and ask better ones. See you later.